Okay, so in today's video, we're going to move on now to our core aeration stage and top dressing, etc. Now, I have already cut this green short. Now, I didn't actually end up using the little Victor. What I did with this was actually set the Toro Greensmaster right down to 2.8 millimeters, and I went over it a good amount of times just to get the height down to reset it again. Now, last year when Ben was here, we did go over it with the Victor, etc, etc. Last season though, this green didn't really shine and it didn't really have the same amount of puffiness that it did the year before, so it didn't really, I feel, warrant having the Victor go over it. So as I said, just went over with the Greensmaster and did a fantastic job. Now today I thought we'd just have a quick look at this as well. This is the Toro stand-on core aeration machine. Now it sort of works a little bit like a zero turn or a zero turn mower, but you're standing on the back, or one of those grandstand mowers or something like that. And underneath here, and we'll have a look in a minute, underneath here is a drum core system. So it doesn't actually punch holes in the ground. It actually works similar to the Bluebird. As it rolls, it goes along and does a really good job. Now, very heavy machine, just under 400 kilos, and obviously then operator weight on top of that. It has a digital height gauge, so you can set the height that you want from 1 inch to 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, right down to 5 inches, so at half-inch increments. So, and the little bit that I've had to do with this off camera already, it does go down deep, it does leave a nice core hole, and it pulls out a beautiful core. So really, really enjoyable machine to use, and you're not wrestling it and fighting it like you are with those traditional style Bluebird, for example, machines. And if you get the opportunity to use one of these, and you have actually used the Bluebird, you'll never touch one of those ones again. You'll want this all day long. Now this one, I believe, is actually available for hire through Scone Outdoors, so if you are in the local area, so I think that might cover, check with the guys in the store, but I think it might cover Singleton, Muswellbrook and Scone. But as I said, check with those guys. You can hire this machine yourself, and yeah, tell you what, it's a good thing. It's a really good thing. Well, that certainly made light work of what would have been an absolute pain in the bum job. Just standing behind it, it is a little bit twitchy, but you quickly adjust to that. So first time operators might find it a little bit twitchy, but stick with it and it's not a bad thing to use at all. Certainly beats the old school way. Now we got over this twice and we got down to about 3 inches. We had the machine set at 4, but we did only manage to achieve the 3 inches fairly consistently, so that was good. A little bit of that would have been to do with the fact that I didn't probably give this quite enough water on this side, and it probably could have been a bit damper to get those tines down that little bit deeper, but still overall very happy with the results. Now In a green situation that's actually in play, you probably wouldn't use that kind of a machine because it does disturb the surface just a tiny bit. But in a home lawn, or let's say golf tee or a fairway or a playing field, mate, that machine is ideal. Obviously green coring machines are a little bit more precise again. They're a little bit more concentrated, and they sort of have little fingers to keep the surface nice and smooth and flat. But hey, we work with what we work with, and I'm certainly not complaining, and I did enjoy using it. So we'll clean up this here a little bit better now, and then we'll come back and we'll start talking about the amendments to the soil. It's time now, we've got all the stuff cleaned up, it's time now to start doing some, I guess, fertilising and soil amending and that sort of thing. So, as I mentioned in the pH testing video, my pH of my soil is a bit high, so we need to bring it back down into the 6s, and this is a product that we're going to use. Now, it's called anti-alk, and what it does is it's designed to lower, or in other words, acidify soils. Now, there's one viewer who actually was quite right to point out that I've already got very high phosphorus in my soils, and now I'm considering adding more phosphorus because this product has phosphorus. And it sort of sent me back to the drawing board a little bit, and I actually spoke to the soil testing guys, etc., and we sort of came up with the idea that even though my phosphorus levels are high, it's still better in this case to bring my pH down, and we'll worry about the phosphorus levels going forward. We might even do some leaf tissue testing to see if the plant's actually taking benefit. It might even be locked out. The phosphorus might even be locked out from the plants at this stage. So we're still going to push on. We're still going to use it. Now, as luck would have it, these easy flow systems are really handy. But as luck would have it, I should say, one of these systems here, the smaller one here, which holds about 3.2 litres, is pretty much the exact amount I need to do this and the front area. So all up, it's just shy of 500 square meters all up. So basically we're going to put this into here. Now with the brass tap fitting, so the hose connector fitting, on the fast setting of this, it puts out 1 litre of this chemical, whatever it might be in here, per 100 litres of water. Now this requires a minimum of 200 litres per litre, or per 700 I should say. So just going to back it off just a slight bit from the fastest setting just to slow it off. So that should get us somewhere in the ballpark. So all we need to do now is apply all this here, and then obviously we can push on with our top dressing and stuff like that. So I'll set you guys up in the corner after I've mixed this up, and I'll simply apply this, and it's really going to be really easy to use with this system here. So if you saw my pond construction video, you would have noticed I spoke about this flow meter as well in that, this little Gardena flow meter. I'm actually going to connect it up today as well, because then I'll have a fair idea if I've covered the 100 square meters of the green or the 200 square meters or whatever the case may be. I can look across here and see how much water's come out. That's going to give me a good idea as to how many more times I need to cover the area before I've reached the amount desired, because I can't see what's happening in here, but I can sort of reference them both across to see what water's come out. And we know that the amount coming out of there per 100 litres is 1, so we can work that way. So just another little idea to make things a bit easier. So clear tube is always on the out, so you can see fluid flowing, and the black one is the line in. Make sure that's on 0, so our counter's on 0. I'll just change the nozzle to an old, what they call fish mouth nozzle from the old greenkeeping days, made out of brass, really handy nozzle. And that there, you can see the water coming out here. It's like a vacuum breaker valve, so once that cranks up, that'll shut that valve off, and it's like a bit like a backflow. It is a backflow prevention, so nothing goes back into the house. So that's all good. Okay, so we'll move on to the top dressing stage now. So as I said, I'm just going to do the green, and I'm sort of probably only just got enough of this sand to probably do it. Otherwise I'll have to hold out until probably next week until I can get some more. So we'll just see how we go. Still going to go nice and heavy, got to fill in those, fill in the core holes, etc. So yeah, less talking, more shoveling. Righto, so all we need to do now, we just need to wait till this dries, and as you can see here now, that's not going to take too long. Once it dries, we'll rub it in. There will probably be a little bit more sand added, or required to be added I should say, just to fill in these holes properly. But yeah, as you can see, it won't take long to dry. We'll rub it in, and once it's properly rubbed in, then we can put our fertilizer on, put the water on, and technically that's a wrap. Right, so that's pretty well rubbed in for now, so we can move on to put our fertilizers down. Now look, it's always a good idea to spread your top dress out first before you put the fertilizer down. Don't be sort of tricked into going, I'll put the fertilizer down so it falls into the core holes, because what will end up happening is a lot of it's just going to get pushed around when you start rubbing it off with the level on. So always put your fertilizer on last. As per our soil tests, we're going to put down some sulfate of ammonia just to increase my sulfur levels, and the fertilizer that we're using now, which is also as a result of my soil testing, is a 30-07, so 30% nitrogen, no phosphorus, and 7% potassium. So, and there is a bit of iron in there as well. That's 1.7 kilos per 100 square meters. It's a mini prill product, so it's New Turf product, Fairway Max Mini. So it is a controlled release, so it's got a bit of fast release, a bit of slow release. But obviously our sulfate of ammonia has got an instant hit of nitrogen in it as well for our initial launch. So this is what we're going to go with. We'll get this lawn back green kicking as quickly as we can. So all that's left to do now is pretty much give this a good drink in, and I won't lie, I'm ready for a good drink myself. I really feel I'm getting far too old to be doing this. Anyway guys, look, I hope you've enjoyed this little renovation series. I'm going to go out the front now and just do the same thing. You don't really need to see that. You've seen enough of me for 1 week. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time on the Aussie Lawn.